Hannah. I'm a tutor at Sky Academy, and we are looking at the topic of algebra. Specifically, we're looking at the subtopic of simultaneous linear equations. This is our 8th and our final video in this topic, and we are looking at break-even analysis. And so we talked a little bit about break-even in the 7th or the previous video, but the break-even point occurs when cost equals income. And we know that when two lines equal the same thing, when they have the same x or y value, that is the point of intersection. And so the break-even point is just the point of intersection. And so what that might look like on a linear model is where you have one line coming up like that and one line coming up like that. And the line where they meet or intersect is going to be the break-even point. Now we have 3 formulas here. First, we have income and cost. And so the income is where I equals mx, and we know m to be the gradient. And so the m is the gradient of the income line. And then we have cost, which equals the gradient of the cost line mx plus a fixed cost, or the y-intercept. Once you've found your income and your cost, you can find your profit, which is income minus cost. And so obviously, if your income, you're selling Subway sandwiches, and your income for that hour was $100, but it cost you $50 to make the bread and all the veggies and meat that goes on the Subway, then your profit is going to be 100 minus 50, which is just $50 profit. So that's an example of income minus cost equals profit. And we are now going to have a look at some examples. So here we have an example where Grace buys and sells wallets. Income received by selling wallets is calculated using the formula I equals 30x. Costs associated with selling wallets are calculated using the formula cost equals 20x plus 30. So in this example, they've given us the 2 formulas that we need, so we do not have to determine those equations. Before we do the questions, we're just going to have a look at the diagram here. We know where our break-even point is. The break-even point is where the 2 lines meet, or the point of intersection. So this here is going to be the break-even point. And then if we have a look at our 2 lines, the red line is the cost and the blue line is the income. And so when our cost, the red line, is greater than the blue line, we lose money because it costs more than you're making. So that's called the loss zone. And then when your income is greater than your cost, you're making money, so it's called the profit zone. And then obviously where the break-even point is, that is where the income and the costs are the same. And then after that point, you will start making money. So let's have a look at the question. Question A says, use the graph to determine the number of wallets that Grace needs to sell to break even. So we've already determined our break-even point, and that is here. We need to determine the number of wallets, and that is on the x-axis. So I'm going to go down until I reach the number of wallets, which is 3. So we need 3 wallets to break even. Now let's have a look at question B. It says, how much profit or loss does she make when 4 wallets are sold? And so I'm going to write down the profit formula so we don't forget. Profit equals income minus cost. And they want when 4 wallets are sold. So I'm going to go to 4 wallets, which is here, and I'm going to go up to my income line. And when 4 wallets are sold, I have an income, go across, an income of 120. So my profit is going to equal 120 minus, and now I'm going to go across to my cost line, which is red, which is here. She's going to have a cost of $110. And so my profit is going to equal $10. Because 120 minus 110 is $10 profit. So she's not losing any money when 4 wallets are sold, she's making $10. So that's one example, and now we're going to have a look at another example. This one is a little bit harder. This one was taken from the 2019 HSC paper, and it is a break-even analysis question. So let's have a read of this introduction up the top so we get an understanding of what's going on. So it says a small business makes and sells birdhouses. Technology was used to draw straight line graphs to represent the cost of making birdhouses C and the revenue from selling birdhouses. The x-axis displays the number of birdhouses and the y-axis displays the cost and revenue. What is revenue, you may ask? Well, revenue is simply income. So we know revenue to be income. There we go. So now question A says, how many birdhouses need to be sold to break even? And so we know the break-even point is the point of intersection, which will be here. So I'm going to go down to the number of birdhouses, which is on the x-axis, and it gives me a number of 20. So 20 birdhouses need to be sold to break even. And now we can do question B. By first forming equations for cost C and revenue R, determine how many birdhouses need to be sold to earn a profit of 1,900. So first I'm going to develop my revenue formula, which is just R equals MX. And we know we can find M by finding rise over run. So I'm going to go to the revenue line, which is the darker line, and I'm going to pick this point here, and I'm going to go across to here, and I'm going to go a rise of 500, 600, 700, 800, a rise of 800, and a run of 20. So 800 over 20 is going to equal 40. So the revenue formula or equation is going to equal 40x. I'm going to erase this so I have a bit more room. And now I've done that, I'm going to do my cost formula. So the cost formula is the one that replicates y equals mx plus c. So cost is going to equal mx plus c, and we know c to equal the y-intercept, and so this here is going to be our cost because it is the y-intercept, and so we know what c equals, lowercase c equals 500. We just got to figure out what m equals for the cost line. The m for the cost line is going to be different for the revenue line because they have different slopes, they have different gradients. They're not the same line and they aren't parallel lines, so they're going to have different m's. So m equals rise over run. And so I need to go to my cost line. So I'm going to do here and here. And so that's a rise from 500 to 800. So that's a rise of 300. And my run is from 0 to 20. So that's 20. So that's 300 over 20. And 300 over 20 gives you an answer of 15. And so M equals 15. So therefore my cost formula or equation is going to equal 15x plus 500. So now I have determined my two equations. I can now determine how many birdhouses need to be sold to earn a profit of 1,900. So we know profit equals income minus cost, and income is just revenue, so that's going to be our R. So I might actually change that to be revenue so we don't get confused. Revenue. And we have a profit of 1,900. Our revenue formula is 40x. And now we're going to minus the cost. Minus 15x plus 500. And now we are going to solve this equation to solve for x. So firstly, what I'm going to do is expand these brackets. So I'm going to minus 15x from 40. So 1,900 equals 25x minus 500. Now I'm going to add the 500 to the other side. So that leaves us with 2,400 equals 25x. Just going to continue it over here because I've run out of space. Now I'm going to divide 2,400 by 25 to equal x, and therefore x equals 96. So when 96 birdhouses are sold, they will earn a profit of $1,900. So that's how you look at break-even analysis. It's how you determine your revenue formula and your cost formula. And once you've found those two, you can solve for your profit, or you can solve using profit to find X. Yeah.